Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Jai Shri Guru Dev Ki Jai No, Jai Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shrimad Bhakti Viranta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Guru Dev Ki Jai Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shrimad Bhakti Viranta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shrimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki. Sorry, I'm starting to think about something else. Let me start over. Nityala Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityala Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shrimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityala Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shrimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Maha-bhagavat Srila Gorksha Swabaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Śrī Rupa Anugogoriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Śrī Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Śrī Jeev Gopal Bhattadasa Gurunath Shar Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Śrī Swarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Śrī Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. नामचय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौरमंडल व्रजमंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदाता गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Alright, so I'm sharing my screen. Give me 1 second here. Alright, so which kirtan should we sing today? I'm gonna sing about Viśvarūpa taking sannyas. Don't know anything. I'm just gonna do any Mahaprabhu kirtan. What about... Just trying to think. Okay. Why is it not coming up? Sorry guys, give me a second here. Okay, we did Gauranga Dutipada yesterday. Kavi Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata. We did all these already. Let's do this one. Gauranga Tumi More, Doya Nachari Ho. O Gauranga, do not fail to bestow your mercy upon me. Making me your own, keep me close to the reddish soles of your lotus feet. For your lotus feet, I have renounced everything. Upon attaining those cooling lotus feet, I have taken shelter of them. I have abandoned worldly family life, now and hereafter. Please keep me at your lotus feet and call me your own. Grasping your lotus feet, Vasudeva Ghosh prays. Kindly keep me here, forever giving me the shade of your lotus feet. O Gauranga, Tumi More, Daya na chhadi ho. গৌরাঙ্গ তুমি মোরে দয়া না ছাড়ি হো আপনা করিয়া রঙ্গা চরণে রাখি হো আপনা করিয়া রঙ্গা চরণে রাখি হো গৌরাঙ্গ তুমি মোরে দয়া না ছাড়ি হো গৌরাঙ্গ তুমি মোরে দয়া না ছাড়ি হো তোমার চরণ লাগে সব ত্যাগিনো তোমার চরণ লাগে সব ত্যাগিনো শীতল চরণ পায়া শরণ লয়েনো শীতল চরণ পায়া শরণ লয়েনো গৌরাঙ্গ তুমি মোরে দয়া না ছাড়ি হো গৌরাঙ্গ তুমি মোরে দয়া না ছাড়ি হো একুলে ওকুলে মই দিল তিলাঞ্জলি একুলে ওকুলে মই দিল তিলাঞ্জলি রাখি হো চরণে মোরে রাখি হো চরণে মোরে আপনার বলি রাখি হো চরণে মোরে আপনার বলি গৌরাঙ্গ তুমি মোরে দয়া না ছাড়ি হো গৌরাঙ্গ তুমি মোরে দয়া না ছাড়ি হো वासुदेव गोष्ठे बोले चरण धोरिया वासुदेव घोष बोले चरण धोरिया कृपा करी राखो मोरे कृपा करी राखो मोरे पद छाया Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Śacīnanda, Jaya Gaura Hari, Śacīnanda, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Śacīnanda, Gaura Hari, Śacīnanda, Jaya Gaura Hari. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Śacīnanda Gaur Hari Ki Jai. Jai Vasudeva Ghosh Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol, Kishore Krishna Prabhu, and Satya Mataji, of course. Hari Bol, Dandavat Pranam. Let's see who's all on Facebook and YouTube. Hari Bol, Karuna Didi, and Raseshwari Mataji, and Vidya Lalasa Didi, Indira Mataji, and Ganga Mataji. Dandavat Pranams to all of you. On Vidya Lalasa Didi, I haven't shared the chapters in the WhatsApp group yet because I need to prepare them. I have the all-in-one doc, but that's it. I need to separate everything as well, so I will get to that hopefully sometime soon. And actually, I'd like to put it up on Vine of Devotion website so everybody could access it there. So it's something on my to-do list. All right, so Kishore Prabhu, are you in the mood to do a recap, or if not, that's totally fine.
I'd like to, Prabhu, but I don't remember all the nice details about Nimāi. I like about all his mischief, of how he switched clothes, of how he would spit in people's faces, how to call people's names and things. And I don't recall all the nice details.
Yeah, me either. So maybe I'll just skim through and read certain parts. I won't read the full chapter like I did other times, because. But okay, I'll do that. Yeah, that was a really fun chapter. Okay, so let's go to, what was it? Was it chapter 6, I think, right? Yeah. 1 second. I don't know why this is going crazy. Okay, while this is loading, I'm gonna just run quickly and get some water, because, yeah, just give me, oh, it's already ready. Never mind. Okay, chapter 6. There. The Lord begins studying and his childhood mischief. So this chapter describes the beginning of Nimai's scholastic pastimes, his eating the foodstuffs offered to Vishnu on Ekadashi at the house of Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit, and his various mischievous childhood pastimes. We already read the recap, we already went through the Nimāi eating at the offering of Jagadish Pandit and Hiranya yesterday. So we've went through it twice. So I'm not going to go through that. We also went through the Gorgopal's samskaras, the Hate Kari ceremony when he writes his first letters, when he learns his first letters, and the Karna Vedha, that's when they pierce the ears, the Chura Karan, when he shaves his head, his hair cutting ceremony. And so Nimāi could write the letters of the alphabet just by seeing them once. Within 2 or 3 days, he was able to write conjunct letters in words. There's many conjuncts, and so he's able to write all those. He would continually read and write Krishna's names. Sometimes Gorgopal pleaded for his parents to give him birds flying in the sky, or the stars and moon from the sky. When he did not receive these things, he began to cry. Then there is no way to solace the child other than by chanting the names of Hari. One day, however, Nimāi did not stop crying in spite of everyone repeatedly chanting the names of Hari. When they inquired from Nimāi about the cause of his crying, they learned that Nimāi was displaying his pastime of crying in order to eat the foodstuffs offered to Vishnu on the day of Ekadashi in the house of the 2 Brahmins, Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit of Navadvip. The relatives of Nimāi solaced him by promising him Vishnu's remnants. They then went to the house of those 2 great devotees and related to them the whole story. Considering Nimāi an extraordinary personality, the 2 Brahmins then gave him the foodstuffs they had offered to Vishnu. As a result, Nimāi stopped crying. Nimāi exhibited various mischievous pastimes, like teasing his friends, quarreling with them, and sporting in the Ganges water at midday. Let's go to the actual part, because that was... What's a keyword? I know, keyword spit. There. Yes, there we are. Oh, should we do the Mangalacharan and then read from this? I'll just continue. I'll just continue, yeah? Okay, yeah, okay. So it described, so Vishvambar and his friends eagerly entered the Ganga, wherein they enjoyed splashing water on each other. Who can describe the opulence of Navadvip? Innumerable people took bath at one of the bathing ghats. I'm unable to say how many saints, ascetics, householders, sannyasis, and children came there to take bath. As the Lord swam in the Ganges and the Ganga with his associates, sometimes he would dive below the surface, and sometimes he would float. In this way, he enjoyed various water sports. While engaged in water sports, Lord Gaurasundar would splash water with his feet on those nearby. People forbade him from doing this, but the Lord ignored them, and they were unable to catch him. The Lord compelled everyone to bathe again, and then again by touching them or spitting on them. So he made everybody bathe again and again. And it's when it says spitting on him, it means that he would spit water from his mouth. He'd fill up his mouth with water, the water on them. Being unable to restrain them, the Brahmins approached his father to complain about him. The Brahmins said, "Dear friend Jagannath Mishra, please hear about your son's misdeeds. Due to his misdeeds, we are unable to bathe properly." Someone said, "He splashes water on me and disturbs my meditation." Another complained, "Your son asked me, 'Who are you meditating on?' In Kali Yuga, I am directly Lord Narayan." Someone said, "He stole my Shiva Linga." And someone else said, "He ran away with my chadar." Someone said, "I kept the ingredients for worshipping Vishnu, flowers, durva grass, bhog, sandalwood pulp, and the Lord's asan, on the bank of the Ganga. When I went to take bath, your son sat on the Lord's asan, ate the bhoga, smeared himself with the sandalwood pulp, decorated himself with the flowers, and ran off." Then he said, "Why are you unhappy? He for whom you arranged those ingredients has himself enjoyed them." Someone said, "I was standing in the water chanting my Gayatri. He grabbed my feet and pulled me down under the water." Another said, "He always takes my flower basket and fresh cloth." Someone else said, "He steals my Bhagavad Gita." Then someone complained, "My son is very young, and your son makes him cry by putting water in his ears." Another person said, "He comes behind me, climbs on my shoulders, and then jumps into the water, exclaiming, "I am Lord Mahesh!" Someone said, "Your son sits on my asana and eats the offerings I've prepared for Lord Vishnu. Then he worships Lord Vishnu." When I come out from my bath, he throws sand on me. He is surrounded by all the other mischievous boys. He exchanges the men's cloth with the women's, and then everyone is embarrassed when they go to dress. O Jagannath Mishra, you are our dear friend. Therefore, we are informing you that your son does such things every day. He remains in the water for up to 6 hours, so how will his body remain fit? At the same time, all the neighborhood girls approached Mother Śacī in an angry mood. They all complained to Śacī, "O Thakurani, listen to what your son has done. He steals our clothes and speaks very badly. If we protest, he throws water on us and starts a quarrel. By force, he scatters whatever fruits and flowers we bring for puja. When we come out from our bath, he throws sand on us. He is surrounded by all sorts of mischievous boys. He sneaks up behind us and shouts in our ears." One of the girls said, "He spit water in my face. And then he threw okara seeds, which induce itching in my hair." I'm not sure though about that. I'm guessing it might be one of these little things. I mentioned yesterday on Parikrama, there are these little things that there's these little spikes coming out, like little fibers, and if you get it stuck in your head, if you get it stuck in your hair, it's so difficult to get out. I remember sometimes you just have to like pull out a bunch of hair because it's like, and so I think that's what it is that you throw in their hair. Someone else said, "He said he wants to marry me." Every day he behaves with us like this. Does your Nimāi think that he is a son of a king, that he's a prince? The activities of your son Nimāi exactly resemble what we have heard about the activities of the son of Nanda. When we tell our parents about your son's mischief, they will certainly quarrel with you. Therefore, please control your son immediately, for such activities are not proper in Nadia. On hearing these complaints, the Lord's mother smiled, embraced the girls, and sweetly spoke to them. "When Nimāi returns today, I will tie him up and beat him with a stick so that he won't disturb you again." All the girls then took the dust of Śacīdevi's feet on their heads and went to take bath. In spite of Nimai's mischief, everyone ultimately felt fully satisfied. People came to complain to Jagannath Mishra for amusement, but he became upset and angrily replied, "This boy behaves like this every day. He doesn't allow anyone to peacefully take bath in the Ganga. I am going to punish him right now." Although they all tried to pacify Jagannath Mishra, they were unable. Gauranga, the lord of all living entities, could understand that Jagannath Mishra was searching for him in an angry mood. Shri Gaurasundar was most enchanting as he continued sporting in the water of the Ganga with the other boys. Then all the girls said, after complaining to Śacī Mā, well, I guess Śacī Mā wouldn't correct Nimāi as strongly as Jagannath Mishra, so they complained to her and they were okay with Śacī Mā saying, "Okay, I'm going to tie him up and beat him." But Jagannath Mishra, they're like, "Uh-oh." So they all went and said, Listen, Viśvāmbara, your father is coming. You better get out of here." As Jagannath Mishra came on his way to find the Lord amongst his friends, the Brahmin girls ran away in fear. So he was on his way to find the Lord amongst his friends, but he didn't get there yet. So meanwhile, Nimāi instructed his friends to tell his father, "Say to my father, your son has not come for bath today. He went straight home after school. We are also waiting for him." So after instructing his friends like this, the Lord went home by another path, just as Jagannath Mishra arrived at the bathing ghat. Jagannath Mishra looked all over, but could not see his son amongst the boys. He then inquired, "Where did Viśvāmbara go?" The boys replied, "He didn't bath today. He went straight home after school. We are all waiting here for him." Searching all over with a stick in his hands, Jagannath Mishra grumbled in anger on being unable to find his son. The Brahmins, who had earlier complained to Jagannath Mishra in jest, came and spoke to him again. Viśvarūpa left for home out of fear. You please go home and speak to him there. If he comes back here again and creates mischief, then we will catch him and hand him over to you. Whatever we said to you was simply in jest. Actually, there is no one more fortunate than you in all the three worlds. How can one be affected by hunger, thirst, or lamentation if he has such a son at home? You are certainly most fortunate to have the Supreme Lord as your son and serve his lotus feet. Yeah, I don't fully understand that comment. It's kind of confusing, because I didn't know that Nimāi was the Supreme Lord. Anyhow, I'm going to highlight that one. 1 second. Boom. Okay. Oops. Sorry, give this computer a minute. Anytime. Okay. Even if Viśvarūpa commits millions of offenses, we will still keep him in our hearts. Because these Brahmins had all been devotees of Krishna for many lifetimes, they had fine intelligence. In this way, the Lord enjoyed various pastimes with his eternal servants, which ordinary people cannot understand. Jagannath Mishra said, "He is your son as well. You must not be offended by his actions." After embracing all the Brahmanas, Jagannath Mishra happily returned home. Meanwhile, Lord Viśvarūpa returned home by another path. He resembled the bright moon as he carried attractive books in his hand. Drops of ink beautified the Lord's golden limbs and resembled bumblebees surrounding a champak flower. The Lord called out, "Mother, give me some oil. Let me go to take bath." Hearing her son's request, Mother Śacī became joyful. She could not see any sign that he had taken bath. After giving him the oil, Śacīdevī thought, "What did those girls and Brahmins complain about? He has drops of ink on his body, and he is wearing the same clothes and carrying the same books." Soon after, Jagannath Mishra arrived there, and Viśvarūpa climbed on his lap. Śrī Mishra was filled with ecstasy on seeing his son, and he lost external consciousness by his embrace. Śrī Mishra was astonished to see that Nimāi was covered with dust and devoid of any sign that he had taken bath. He said, "Viśvarūpa, what kind of mentality do you have? Why don't you let people take bath? Why do you steal the ingredients meant for worshipping Lord Vishnu? Do you not have any reverence for Lord Vishnu?" The Lord replied, "Today I have not yet gone for bath. My friends have gone ahead of me. They have misbehaved with those Brahmins and girls who are blaming me even though I wasn't there. Since they blame me when I wasn't even there, now I will actually do some mischief to them." Saying this, the Lord smiled as he left to take bath in the Ganga, where he met again with his friends. Now he was really quick to throw his friends under the bus. When Viśvarūpa arrived there, the boys embraced him and laughed after hearing what had happened. They all praised him, saying, "Nimāi, you are very clever. You have escaped a good beating today." As the Lord engaged in water sports with the boys, at home, Jagannath Mishra and Śacīdevī were contemplating. Whatever they complained about cannot be false. It's not like they all got together and conspired against Nimāi, so they must be telling the truth. But then why were there no symptoms on his body of having taken bath? His body was covered with dust, and he had the same dress and same books. His hair was dry, everything as though he had not taken bath. It seems that Śrī Viśvarūpa is not an ordinary human being. Perhaps Lord Krishna has appeared by his internal potency as a human being in our house. Otherwise, he may be some other great personality. We do not know. While they were contemplating in this way, the Lord, who is the jewel amongst the Brahmins, arrived there. In the ecstasy of seeing their son, the couple forgot about all their ideas and became so filled with affection that nothing else was important. The 2 prahars, 6 hours that the Lord spent at school studying, seemed like 2 yugas for the couple. If the Vedas chanted the glories of this couple with millions of mouths in millions of ways, still they could not reach the limit of their good fortune. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the feet of Śacīdevī and Jagannath Mishra, whose son is the Lord of innumerable universes. In this way, the Lord of Vaikuntha enjoys his pastimes, which, by the influence of his external energy, no one could understand. Accepting Śrī Caitanya Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. So now we will begin Chapter 7, Shri Viśvarūpa takes sannyas. But first we'll do the Mangalacharan. Just looking at the comments quickly. Haribo, Govinda Saha, and Dandava Pranams. Okay. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Ajanulambita bhujo Kanakavadato Sankirtanaika pitaro Kamalaya-taksho Vishwambharo Dijavaro Yugadharma palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Namastrikala Satyaya Jagannatha Sutaya cha Sabhrityaya Saputraya Sakalatraya te namaha Avatirno Sakarunyo Parichinno Sarishvaro Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Dvau Bhrataro Bhaje Sajayati Vishuddha Vikrama Kanakabha Kamalaya Tekshana Varajanu Vilambi Sharbhujo Bahudha Bhakti Rasabhinartaka. Oh, whoops, I forgot to send a message. Sorry, this is important. Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandra Jayati Jayati Kirtis Tasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Brityas Tasya Vishvesha Murte Jayati Jayati Nrityam Tasya Sarva Priyanam Adya Śrī Caitanya Priya Goshtir Charane Ashesha Prakare Mor Danda Paraname Tabe Vando Shri Krishna Chaitanya Maheshwar Navadvipe Avatar Nama Vishvambar Tavai Vasmi Oops, let's do the... Where is it? I opened it. Huh, strange. 1 second. Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannataya te namaha Govardhanadharam Vande Gopalam Goparupinam Gokulotsavamishanam Govindam Gopika Priyam Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Devi Tvam Nayamang Charanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshai Kshiptashtakama Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanaravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ore mura loka shuno Chaitanya Mangal, Chaitanya Mahima Jate Jani Beshakal, Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kohe Ved Vyas, Chaitanya Lila Ravyas Vrindavana Das, Vrindavana Das Koila Chaitanya Mangal, Jahan Rashravane Nashe Sarvaya Mangal. Chaitanya Nitair Jate Janiye Mahima, Jate Jani Krishna Bhakti Siddhanter Sima, Bhagavate Jata Bhakti Siddhanter Sar, Likhi Achen Iha Jani Koriya Udar, Chaitanya Mangala Shune Jadi Pashandi Javan, Sheho Maha Vaishnava Hoy Tata Khan, Manushe rachite nare aiche granta dhanya, Vrindavana dasa mukhe vakta Śrī Caitanya, Vrindavana dasa pade koti namaskar, aiche granta korite ho tarila sansar, Narayani Chaitanyer uchishta bhajan, Tar garbe janmila Śrī dasa Vrindavan, Tar ki arbhuta Chaitanya charita varnan, Jahara Shravane Shuddha koilo tribhuvan, Sahaje vichitra madhur Chaitanya vihar, Vrindavana dasa mukhe amriter dhar. By nature, all the activities of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu are very wonderful and sweet, and when they are described by Vrindavan Das Thakur, they become like a shower of nectar. Jai Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai, Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai. So I know I wrote that I would read up to verse 67, but I'll actually stop whenever it turns 8:30, wherever we get to. Okay, so chapter 7, Śrī Viśvarūpa takes sannyas. And 1 second, I'm just checking. Okay, everything seems good. This chapter contains descriptions of Viśvarūpa's acceptance of sannyas and Gaur Hari's appearance of the mood of Dattatreya and instructing his mother on the absolute truth while sitting on a pile of rejected clay pots. Shri Gaura Gopal expanded his various mischievous childhood pastimes. Nimāi would give up his mischief as soon as he saw his elder brother, Viśvarūpa. Viśvarūpa was renounced since the time of his birth, and he was the abode of all good qualities. Whenever he explained the scriptures, he would establish devotional service. He would establish devotional service, bhakti, as their only purport. He had no interest in anything other than serving Krishna with all of his senses. Although he knew his younger brother was Bal Gopal Krishna, he did not disclose this confidential fact to anyone. Viśvarūpa always remained intoxicated by discussing topics of Krishna and serving Krishna in the association of the Vaishnavas. Seeing the entire world was mad after material enjoyment, the seed of envy for Vishnu and the Vaishnavas was present in everyone's heart, and even the reciters of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam were devoid of devotion to Krishna. The pure devotees headed by Advaita Acharya began to cry for the pathetic condition of the living entities. Shri Viśvarūpa even decided to give up worldly life and considered, "I will no longer see the faces of such people." Every day after taking morning bath in the Ganga, Viśvarūpa would go to Advaita Acharya's house, where he would Advaita Acharya would explain that devotional service to Krishna is the essence of all scriptures. Sent by Śacīdevī, the child Nimāi also went daily to the house of Advaita Acharya to bring his elder brother home for lunch. At that time, the devotees practically entered samadhi upon seeing the enchanting beauty of Gaur Hari, as it is natural for devotees to be attracted by seeing the form of the Lord. Taking advantage of this incident, the author establishes the devotees' matchless love for the Supreme Lord by citing the conversation between Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. This is the point where I set up to read to, like verse 67 up to this point. The spirit soul is the life of the living entity, and Sri Nandanandan is the super soul, or the life of the spirit soul. That is why the gopis accepted Krishna as their life and soul. Although Krishna is also the super soul of demons like Kamsa, they cannot understand this due to their offenses. The sweetness of sugar candy is known to all. Although due to the fault of the tongue it may taste bitter to some, the sweetness of the candy is neither lost nor diminished. Those who are attracted to the supreme sweetness of Sri Gaurasundar are most fortunate, while those who are not are simply unfortunate. Nevertheless, the sweetness of Sri Gaurasundar is not diminished. Although Viśvarūpa came home on the order of Mother Śacī, he soon returned to the house of Advaita Acharya. Whenever Viśvarūpa came home, he did not indulge in worldly behavior. Rather, he would pass his time sitting in the temple room. When Viśvarūpa heard that his parents were arranging for his marriage, he became most unhappy, and after a few days exhibited his pastime of taking sannyas. Thus, he became renowned in the world as Sri Shankaranya. The hearts of Śacī and Jagannath, who were in the transcendental mood of Vatsalya Ras, were greatly pained when Viśvarūpa took sannyas. And Gaurasundar, feeling separation for his brother, separation for his pure servant, displayed his pastime of losing consciousness. Due to separation from Viśvarūpa, separation from a devotee, the devotees headed by Advaita Acharya began to cry. All the friends of Śacī and Jagannath came to solace them in various ways. Hearing about Viśvarūpa's acceptance of sannyas, the devotees all wanted to go live in the forest. Advaita Prabhu consoled everyone by saying, Krishna Chandra will soon manifest before us and mitigate all of our distress. He will perform pastimes that are rare even for Shukadeva and Prahlad. After becoming pacified, Nimāi began to study attentively, and he always remained with his parents. Although Mother Śacī was happy to hear about her son's wonderful intelligence and knowledge, Jagannath Mishra was in anxiety because he thought, due to his intense study, this son will also realize that this world is temporary and devotional service to Krishna is the essence of life. Then he will follow the footsteps of his elder brother. After a long debate with Śacī, Jagannath Mishra stopped Nimāi's studies. Thereafter, Nimāi again began to exhibit mischievous pastimes. One day, Nimāi sat on a pile of untouchable clay pots. When Mother Śacī told him not to sit there, Nimāi replied, How can a foolish person who does not know how to read and write discriminate between purity and impurity? For me, it is all the same. In the mood of Dattatreya, Mahaprabhu continued to instruct his mother. The consideration of purity and impurity is born from the imagination or mental speculation of mundane people. The absolute truth, Lord Vishnu, is present everywhere. And wherever the Lord is present is most pure. Those who cannot understand that the Lord is present everywhere simply chase after mental conceptions. The cooking pots of Vishnu are never impure. They are always pure. Other ordinary items are purified by their touch. The Lord is never present in a place that is impure or devoid of devotional service. Although Nimāi explained all spiritual topics in the mood of a child, Śacī and other relatives in the mood of Vatsalya could not understand those instructions due to the influence of Yoga Maya. When Śacīdevī saw that Nimāi would not leave that dirty place, she personally grabbed the child's hand and took him for bath. Thereafter, Śacīdevī and others informed Jagannath Mishra. Nimāi is feeling most unhappy because he cannot study. So on seeing everyone's request, Purandar Mishra, Jagannath Mishra, ordered Nimāi to continue his studies. Verse 1. Jaya Jaya Maha Maheshwar Gora Chandra, Jaya Jaya Vishwambhar Priya Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Śrī Gaurachandra, the Lord of all lords. All glories to Śrī Vishwambhar's beloved devotees. Jaya Jagannatha Śacī Putra Sarva Pran, Kripa Drishte Koro Prabhu Sarva Jivetran. All glories to Jagannath and Śacī's son, who is the life and soul of all. O Lord, please deliver the living entities by your merciful glance. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word Sarva Pran refers to he who is the life and soul of his servants. The son of Śacī is the source of all conscious entities. Henamate Navadvipe Śrī Gaura Sundar, Balya Lila Chale Kore Prakasha Vistar. In this way, Śrī Gaurasundar manifested his childhood pastimes in Navadvip. Gaudiya Bhashya by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. The words Kore Prakash Vistar indicate that the mischievous pastimes that Śrī Gaurasundar exhibited in his childhood had two purposes. The direct purpose was to attract his devotees and constantly increase their ecstasy, and the indirect purpose was to confirm the temporary nature of mundane objects of sense gratification by destroying them in a mischievous way. Since accepting and rejecting mundane objects creates various disturbances, obstructing or minimizing the attempts to enjoy such objects is certainly for the eternal benefit of the conditioned souls. A conditioned soul's constitutional duties are transformed into mental speculation due to his external perception. As a result, rather than serving the Lord, one's propensity for enjoying the material world increases. In the absence of this propensity, one's spiritual constitutional engagement of devotional service in the form of liberation from material enjoyment and endeavor for achieving Krishna becomes manifest. Nirantara chapalata kore sabhasane, maye shikaleo prabodhanahi mane. The Lord regularly engaged in mischief making. He would not stop even by his mother's order. Shikaile arohoy dvigun chanchal, grihe jaha pai taha bhangaye shakal. Whenever his parents tried to restrain him, he would create twice as much mischief. He would then break anything at home that he could get his hands on. Bhoy ar kichu na boloy bapa maya, swachande paramanande khelai lilai. Thus, out of fear, his parents no longer tried to restrain the Lord, who was then free to fully enjoy his pastimes. The topics of Ādi-khaṇḍa, Ādi-khaṇḍa katha jeno amrita shravan, jahi Viśvarūpa krida kore narayan. The topics of Ādi-khaṇḍa are like a stream of nectar, for they relate the childhood pastimes of Lord Narayan. Pita mata kahare na kore prabhu bhoy, Viśvarūpa agraja dekhile namra hoy. The Lord was not afraid of anyone, including his parents, but he displayed humility on seeing his elder brother Viśvarūpa. So that's one person that he was not so, yeah. Prabhur agraja Viśvarūpa Bhagavan, ajanma virakta sarva guner nidhan. Śrī Viśvarūpa, the personality of Godhead, was the Lord's elder brother. From birth, he was detached from sense gratification. He was the abode of all transcendental qualities. Sarva Shastre Sabe Vakanen Vishnu Bhakti Khandite Tahar Vyakhya Nahi Karo Shakti. He explains that the purport of all scriptures was devotional service to Lord Vishnu, and no one was able to refute his explanation. Shravane Vadane Mane Sarvendriya Gane Krishna Bhakti Vine Ar Na Bole Na Shune. With his ears, mouth, mind, and other senses, he would not speak or hear about anything other than devotional service to Lord Krishna. Anujer Dekhi Ati Vilakhana Rita Viśvarūpa Mane Gane Hoya Vismita. Seeing his brother's uncommon activities, Viśvarūpa was struck with wonder and thought. Gaudiya Bhashya. The words Vilakshanarita mean extraordinary or contrary behavior. So Viśvarūpa was struck with wonder and he thought, E balaka kabu nahe prakrita chawalo rupe acharane jeno Śrī Bala Gopala. This boy could not be an ordinary child. His beauty and activities appear just like those of Śrī Bala Gopal. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word prakrit chawalo indicate an ordinary mundane child who is forced to enjoy the fruits of his karma. Jato amanushi karma niravadi kore e bhuji khelen Krishna e shishu e bhuji khelen Krishna e shishu sharire. I can understand from the uncommon activities that he constantly performs that Lord Krishna enjoys pastimes through the body of this child. The word amanushi means not characteristic of a human being, not of this world, or divine. Jato amanushi karma. All the uncommon activities. Uncommon are, divine activities. E mata chinte Viśvarūpa mahashai kahare na bhange tattva swakarma koroi. Considering in this way, Viśvarūpa kept to his own activities and did not disclose this secret to anyone. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase tattva na bhange indicates that Viśvarūpa never disclosed to anyone that Sri Vishwambar is Sri Krishna himself. Niravadi thake sarva Vaishnaver shange Krishna katha Krishna bhakti Krishna puja range. He constantly associated with the Vaishnavas by discussing topics of Krishna, performing devotional service to Krishna, and engaging in the worship of Krishna. Gaudiya Bhashya. Viśvarūpa always lived in the association of the devotees. He always discussed topics about Krishna with the devotees and attained ecstasy by respectfully serving Krishna. Jagat pramata dhan putra vidya rase Vaishnava dekhile matra sabe upahase. The people of the world were mad for enjoying wealth, children, and education. Whenever they saw the Vaishnavas, they would ridicule them. Gaudiya Bhashya. Mundane people work hard to achieve wealth, children, and education. And when they do not see such propensities in a Vaishnava, they deride him. Anyatara ja pore sab Vaishnava dekhiya jati sati tapasviyo jaibe moriya. They would compose blasphemous rhymes and recite them when they saw a Vaishnava. They challenged, what is the use of being a sannyasi, a chaste wife, or tapasvi? They must also die. They even made derogatory poems. Gaudiya Bhashya. In the phrase Arya Taraja, The word Arya refers to a Bengali poem composed about some particular incident or person. The word Taraja is an Arabian word referring to insulting poems exchanged in the form of questions and answers between two parties in a musical performance or light songs. I want to hear some of those. It's like a rap battle kind of thing. The atheistic residents of Navadvip at that time followed the doctrine of Charvak Muni and were thus maddened by sense gratification due to falsely identifying themselves with their bodies. Whenever they saw the pure Vaishnavas, they would tease them with poems that they had composed. They must have really been annoyed with the Vaishnavas if they were making poems to tease them. They even said that the performance of religious duties by sannyasis, chaste women, and ascetics are all useless, because in spite of accumulating great piety, they cannot save themselves from death, so there is no need to observe such religious duties. In other words, they considered such people unfortunate miscreants. Tare boli sukriti, je dola gora chade, dasha bish janjar age pache rodhe. We consider someone pious if he can ride on a palanquin or a horse surrounded by 10 or 20 people. Gaudiya Bhashya. On the other hand, they considered that a fortunate person was one who takes pride in his opulence as he rides on a horse or palanquin surrounded by many servants and associates. Eto je goshai bhabe koroho krandan tabu to daridra dukha na hoy khandan. You all cry for the Lord with love and devotion, yet you remain poverty-stricken. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word bhave means with intense love, and the word goshai is a respectful address to the Lord. At the time of chanting Krishna's names, tears of love would flow from the eyes of his loving devotees. The atheistic karmis who were eager for sense enjoyment and who were offenders at the feet of the holy names did not accept such a flow of tears as a symptom of love for Krishna. Rather, they ridiculed the chanting of Krishna's names and shedding of tears as useless, because they thought that by chanting Krishna's names, the devotees were not able to attain the insignificant and irrelevant fruit of freedom from poverty. In other words, the devotees were not able to achieve material prosperity and happiness by counteracting their poverty with the help of the holy name, which is non-different from the eternally worshipable Lord Krishna. Those atheists committed severe offenses at the feet of the holy names by their faithlessness. In other words, they did not believe that by purely chanting the holy names one attains love of Krishna. By namabhas, all of one's anarthas are destroyed and one is freed from all material miseries, and by chanting with offense, one achieves the fruits of three varga, dharma, artha, and kama. Okay, so what is that? The three effects. By Shuddhanam, one attains Krishna Prem. By Namabhas, one's anarthas are destroyed and one is freed from material miseries. And by Namaparad, one achieves the fruits of Dharma, Artha, and Kama. Furthermore, they had no faith in the Supreme Lord. They did not believe that in the course of their service to the Lord, the pure devotees gladly accept various miseries and poverty as the mercy of the Lord. They simply desired that the devotees would become greedy for material enjoyment and sense gratification like themselves. They wanted the devotees to be like themselves, greedy for material enjoyment and sense gratification. Ghana ghana hari hari boli chado dako, kruddha hoy goshai shunile boro dako. You loudly and repeatedly chant the name of Lord Hari, but he becomes angry when anyone loudly chants his name. Gaudiya Bhashya. Those atheists would say that if one always loudly chants the holy names, the Goshai, or Lord, would be displeased. E mata bole Krishna bhakti shunya jane, shuni maha dukha pai bhagavata gane. People who are devoid of devotion for the Supreme Lord would speak to the Vaishnavas in this way. and the devotees felt great sorrow on hearing such things. Kotao na shune ke ho Krishner kirtan, dagda deke shakala sangsara anukhan. The sound of the chanting of Lord Krishna's name could not be heard anywhere, as everyone in the world continually burned in the fire of material existence. Dukha bodo pai Viśvarūpa Bhagavan, na shune abhishta Krishna chandrer akhyan. The Supreme Lord, Śrī Viśvarūpa, was most distressed because he did not hear any glorification of his worshipable Lord, Śrī Krishna. Gita Bhagavata JJ Jane ba podai, Krishna Bhakti Vyakhya Karo na aise jivai. Even those who spoke on Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam would never explain anything about devotion to Krishna. Gaudiya Bhashya. The so-called learned professors who had no devotion for Vishnu taught Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, but they never explained the importance of devotional service to Krishna. Being overwhelmed with pride from their material education, on the basis of these scriptures, they taught that religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification to the sense enjoyers, and the liberation of merging in impersonal Brahma to the renounced Mayavadis. Kutarka Gushiya Sab Adhyapaka More Bhakti Heno Nama Nahi Janaye Sangsare. The teachers wasted their lives in useless arguments. People of the world had not even heard the name Bhakti. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word Gushiya means to declare, to explain, or to disclose. Advaita Acharya Adi Jata Bhaktagan Jiver Kumati Deki Koroye Krandan. Thus, the devotees headed by Advaita Acharya simply cried upon seeing the atheistic mentality of the people. Dukhe Viśvarūpa Prabhu Mane Mane Gane Na Dekhiva Loka Mukha Choli Jaya Vane. In such distress, Viśvarūpa considered, I will not look at the face of these materialistic people. Rather, I will go to the forest. Ushakale Viśvarūpa Kori Ganga Snan Advaita Sabhai Asi Hoi Upastan. Every morning, Śrī Viśvarūpa would take bath in the Ganga and then go to the gathering at Advaita Prabhu's house. Sarva Shastre Bakhanen Krishna Bhakti Sar Shuniya Advaita Shukhe Koren Hunkar. Oh, I got it wrong when I was reading the... Anyways, Viśvarūpa was explaining devotional service to Krishna, the essence of devotional service to Krishna. Okay. Viśvarūpa established devotional service to Krishna as the essence of all scriptures. On hearing his explanation, Advaita Prabhu roared with happiness. Puja chari Viśvarūpe dhori kori kole Anande Vaishnava sab Hari Hari bole. Advaita left his deity worship to embrace Viśvarūpa, and all the Vaishnavas happily chanted Hari Hari. Krishnanande Bhaktagan Kore Singhanar Karo Chitte Ar Nahi Spuraye Vishar. Then, in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness, all the devotees roared loudly like these lines, and lamentation no longer remained in their hearts. Viśvarūpa chari keho nahi jai ghare, Viśvarūpa na aaye sena apana mandire. The devotees had no desire to leave Viśvarūpa's association to go home, nor did Viśvarūpa have any desire to leave them. Gaudiya Bhashya. As the devotees could not leave Viśvarūpa to go home, Viśvarūpa was also unable to leave the pure devotees association to go home. Randana koriya Śacī bole Viśvambhare, Tomar agraje giya anaho satvare. After completing her cooking, Mother Śacī told Viśvambhara, "Go quickly and bring your elder brother." 35. Māyar adeshe prabhu. Oh, these verses here, from this section onwards, Randana koriya Śacī bole Viśvambhara, they have this painted at Advaita Acharya's home in Mayapur. This whole section's here. Starts Randana koriya. Yeah, you can see the whole Bengali of this pastime on Advaita Acharya's house. So Mother Śacī said to Viśvambhara, "Go quickly and bring your elder brother for lunch." Māyar adeshe prabhu Advaita sabhai, aisen agrajere labhar chalai. On the order of his mother, the Lord came to Advaita Acharya's house to call his elder brother home. Asiya dekhen prabhu Vaishnava mandal, anonya koren Krishna katana mangal. When the Lord arrived there, he saw all the Vaishnavas engaged in discussing topics of Lord Krishna. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word Vaishnav Mandal refers to the society of Vaishnavas. The phrase Krishna Katan Mangal refers to the auspicious topics of Krishna. Apana prastav shuni Shri Gaura Sundar, sabare koren shubha drishti manohar. Hearing his glorification, Shri Gaurasundar glanced mercifully on them. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word apana prastava means concerning his own glories. 38. Prati ange nirupama lavanyer sima, koti chandra nahe eka nakhir upama. Each of the Lord's limbs surpassed the topmost limits of beauty. Even millions of moons could not be compared with one of his toenails. Digambar sarva anga dhulai dhusar, hasya agraja prati koren utar. Digambar sarva anga dhulai dhusar, hasya agraja prati korena utar. Standing naked with his body covered with dust, Viśvambhara smiled and spoke to his elder brother. Little Viśvambhara said, Bhojane aishobhai dakai janani, agraja vasana dhori chalaye apani. My dear brother, please come to eat. Mother is calling you. Viśvambhara then caught hold of his brother's dhoti and followed him home. Deki she mohana rupa sarva bhaktagan, stagita hoiya sabe kore nirikhan. On seeing the Lord's enchanting form, all the devotees were stunned, and they continually stared at him. Samadhir pray hoyache bhaktagane, Krishner katan karuna aise vadane. The devotees practically entered samadhi. They were even unable to speak about Krishna. Prabhu deki bhakta moha swabhave hoy, vina anubhaveyo daser chittaloy. Devotees are by nature overwhelmed on seeing their Lord. Indeed, even before the devotees realized his identity, the Lord stole away their hearts. Wow, quite a long commentary here. Okay. Although pure living entities and conditioned living entities are by nature both devotees of the Lord, the consciousness of the former has been awakened so that they can feel the love of their eternal worshipable Satchidananda Lord Vishnu, while the latter are under the control of Maya and cannot do so. When the conditioned state is overcome, or when all anarthas are destroyed, a living entity under the shelter of the service to Lord Vishnu can remain pure even while residing in this material world. At that time, he is called a Mahabhagavat. The Madhyam Bhagavat is a pure servant of the Mahabhagavat. Unless the Kanishta Bhagavat reaches the stage of Madhyam Bhagavat, he remains the servant of the Madhyam Bhagavat, even though he is serving a Mahabhagavat. Since the Kanishta Bhagavat desires his own spiritual progress and is traveling on the eternal perfect path to Vaikuntha, he is superior to conditioned souls who are desirous of material enjoyment and liberation. But he has faith only in Vishnu as a transcendental absolute truth, and this realization qualifies him as a Kanishta Adhikari. When one attains the level of Kanishta Adhikar, he can understand that his spiritual master is situated as a Madhyam Adhikari. But when he attains the level of Madhyam Adhikar, he can accept his spiritual master as a Mahabhagavat and qualify himself to become a pure devotee. The Mahabhagavats have no engagement other than the service of Lord Hari and his devotees. Being attached to objects not related to Krishna, ordinary conditioned souls engage in the service of the external world due to their impure intelligence. When such persons advance to the level of Kanishta Adhikari, they dovetail the fruits of their activities with the Lord, and thus cultivate mixed devotional service. In the eternal nature of the living entities, there is an eternal propensity called Hari Bhakti. As a foolish conditioned soul is attracted to material objects, a pure living entity situated in devotional service, his constitutional propensity, is similarly attracted to the Lord. I'm going to save this and share it with Sunil Paul because this is related to this topic. Okay. In the opinion of some unfortunate persons, even devotional service, the eternal propensity of the living entity... Sorry, I have to give my computer a second to catch up. Oh my god, come on, hurry up. There. So in the opinion of some unfortunate persons, they say, even devotional service, the eternal propensity of the living entities, is a mundane, perverted, abominable, illusory propensity. Those who argue, or the foolish persons who are expert in material consideration, cannot realize the pure form of devotional service, which is eternally full of knowledge and bliss, and which is the goal of the liberated, self-satisfied, swan-like personalities. Rather, they accept devotional service, which is the eternally perfect transcendental propensity of the living entities, as a mental concoction. Due to this misconception, ordinary people consider the eternal attraction of Shukadeva Goswami, the crest jewel of learned scholars, for Krishna as material illusion, or moha. Keeping in mind the transcendental happiness derived from serving the Lord, the author at this juncture uses the word moha, illusion, for the understanding of ordinary people. It is natural for the eternal servants of Krishna to serve Krishna with love and ecstasy. In other words, the living entity in his constitutional position eternally worships Krishna as his natural propensity. The conditioned soul, with the mood of it for enjoyment, cannot realize Krishna's love. The conditioned soul with the mood for enjoyment cannot realize Krishna's love in this material world. But Krishna, who attracts the self-satisfied souls, unknowingly attracts the hearts of his servants, who have renounced material enjoyment, whose consciousness is awakened, and who are knowers of the absolute truth. This is what is meant by Krishna attracting his servants, who are under the shelter of Shantaras. The servants who are under the shelter of Shantaras, like the cows, sticks, horn, and flute of Braj, although not situated in Dasiras, unknowingly serve Krishna, while externally appearing less intelligent. One second. I think I'm going to stand up. Your screen is black, or say Śrī Mataji? That's strange. Let me check on here. It's working for you, Śacī Mataji, though, right? Yeah, it is. I wonder if it's your phone, or if there's anybody else on. Yeah, because it says that it's still sharing my screen, so I think it might be your internet connection, or say Śrī Mataji. Okay, 44. Prabhuo she apana bhaktir chitta hare, ekatha bhujite anya jane nahi pare. What was the previous verse? I just want to read it. So the previous verse said, the devotees practically enter samadhi. They are even unable to speak about Krishna. Devotees who are by nature overwhelmed on seeing their Lord. Indeed, even before the devotees realized his identity, the Lord stole away their hearts. The Lord stole away the hearts of the devotees. Materialistic persons are unable to understand how the Lord steals the hearts of his devotees. 45 to 46. E rahasya vidita koilen bhagavate parikshit shunilen shukadeva hoite prasange shunoho bhagavater akhyan shuka parikshiter samvada anupam. Yet this misery was disclosed by Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit in the Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Please hear now the matchless discussion between Shukadeva and Parikshit from Śrīmad Bhagavatam in this connection. Gaudiya Bhashya. In the Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10.14.49, it is stated, King Parikshit said, O Brahman, how could the cowherd women have developed love for Krishna, someone else's son, such unpresented pure love they never felt even for their own children? Please explain this. Shukadeva Goswami replied in verses 50 to 57 as follows. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, O king, for every created being, the dearmost thing is certainly his own self. The dearness of everything else, children, wealth, and so on, is due only to the dearness of the self. For this reason, O best of kings, because why is children, wealth, and all these things so dear to them? Because it's related to them. It's my children, my money, like that. So that's also self-centered. For this reason, O best of kings, the embodied soul is self-centered. He is more attached to his own body and self than to his possessions like children, wealth, and home. Indeed, for persons who think that the body is the self, O best of kings, those things whose importance lies only in their relationship to the body are never as dear to the body itself. Okay. If a person comes to the stage of considering the body mine instead of me, he will certainly not consider the body as his own dear self. After all, even as the body is growing old and useless, one's desire to continue living remains strong. Therefore, it is his own self that is most dear to every embodied living being, and it is simply for the satisfaction of this self that the whole material creation of moving and non-moving entities exists. You should know Krishna to be the original soul of all living entities. For the benefit of the whole universe, he has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared as an ordinary human being. He has done this by the strength of his internal potency. Those in this world who can understand Lord Krishna those in this world who can understand Krishna as he is, sees all things, whether stationary or moving, as manifest forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such enlightened persons recognize no reality apart from the Supreme Lord Krishna. The original, unmanifested form of material nature is the source of all material things, and the source of even that subtle material nature is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. What then could one ascertain to be separate from him? One should refer to these verses and their translation by the author, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, in the following verses. Oh, okay. In the following verses, so it's going to repeat what we just read? I guess so. Verse 47. E Gora Chandra Jabe Janmila Gokule Shishu Shange Grihe Grihe Krida Kori Bule. When Sri Gaurachandra appeared as Krishna in Gokul, he played in all the houses there with the other children. Gaudiya Bhashya. Sri Gaurasundar personally appeared in Gokul as Krishna Chandra. The atheist community says that Sri Krishna appeared 4,712 years prior to the advent of Sri Gaur. And since Krishna came before Gaur, and Gaur came after Krishna, there is certainly a difference between them. Srila Vrindavan Thakur, however, has herein forbidden the pure devotees from considering material, time, place, and circumstances in relation with the absolute truth. Janma hoite prabhure shakala gopi gane nija putra hoite sneha kore mane. From the time of the Lord's birth, the gopis had more affection for him than they had for their own sons. Gaudiya Bhashya. Sneha, or affection, is always meant for subordinates. Although the servants of Krishna, who constantly serve him in the mood of confidential friendship, parenthood, and conjugal love, although they all totally remain under his subordination, they proudly consider themselves superior to Krishna in order to solidify their affection. This pure affection is present more in Krishna's devotees than it is in Krishna himself. The supremacy of the worshipable Lord is greater than that of his servants. So the supremacy of the worshipable Lord is greater than that of his servants. When Sri Krishna was unable to repay his debt for the loving service rendered by Srimati Radhika, he accepted the mood of Sri Radhika and displayed her mentality. The pseudo-sampradayas, such as Gaur Nagaris, who engage in material enjoyments, nourish a mood of opposing Sri Gaur Sundar's preaching of both pure devotional service and the glories of his servants' pure love. Pure devotees of Gaur Krishna do not accept this. Yadyapi Ishvar Buddhe na jane Krishna re swabhave putra hoite boro sneha kore. Although they never considered Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they had a natural attraction for him, more than they had for their own sons. Shuniya vismita boro raja parakshita shukastane jigyasen hoy pulakita. Hearing this, Maharaj Parikshit was struck with wonder. His hair stood on end, and he inquired from Shukadeva Goswami as follows. Verse 51. Parama arbhuta katha kohila goshai tribhuvane emoto kotao shuni jatnai. O Goswami, I have never before heard such wonderful narrations within the three worlds. 52. Nijaputra hoite paratanai krishnere kaha deki sneha koilo kemone prakare. Please explain to me how the gopis displayed more affection for Krishna, another's son, than for their own sons. Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukadeva Goswami. Shri Shuka kohen shuno raja parikit paramartha sarvadehe valabha vidita atma bine putra va kalatra bandhugan griha hoite bahir korai tatakhan ataeva paramatma sabar jivan she paramatma e shi Śacī Ataeva paramatma swabhava karane krishnete adhika sneha kore gopi gane. Shukadeva Goswami replied, O Maharaj Parikshit, it is well known that the supersoul is dear to all. When the soul leaves the son, wife, or friend, their body is taken out of the house. Therefore, the supersoul is the life of everyone. That supersoul is the son of Nanda Maharaj. Thus, the gopis have more affection for Krishna due to his natural characteristics as the supersoul. Gaudiya Bhashya. Wow, this is a long one. Oh my god. What time is it? I think we can finish this and then stop for today. I think I'll take like 4 minutes to read. So, Gaudiya Bhashya. Wait, let me just see the purport again. Sorry, the translation. Therefore, the supersoul is the life of everyone. That supersoul is the son of Nanda Maharaj. Thus, the gopis have more affection for Krishna due to his natural characteristics as a supreme soul. Okay. Gaudiya Bhashya. In their description of Sayuja liberation, or merging in Brahman, the followers of Shuddha Advaita, purified dualism, accept that the soul and the supersoul remain together. It is understood from the Dvasampurna verse and the Vedas that the soul and the supersoul are both present in one vessel. As soon as a soul is bereft of the service of the supersoul, he develops material conceptions. Although the soul and the supersoul are both present in this world, which is manifest by the spiritual potency of the Lord, there, nevertheless, remains a difference between them. Yet, there is nothing abominable or inferior in this difference. In order to establish the oneness of the absolute truth, this non-dual substance has been explained under various doctrines like Shuddha-dvaita, purified dualism, Vishishtadvaita, specific monism, Shuddha-dvaita, purified monism, and Dvaita-dvaita, monism and dualism. The pastimes of the Lord with his associates further confirm the spiritual variegatedness of the non-dual absolute truth. The inferiority of material variegatedness has unreasonably and illegally attacked the impersonalist flow of thought. The inferiority of material variegatedness has unreasonably and illegally attacked the impersonalist flow of thought. A servant of the absolute truth who is expert in the conclusion of personalism finds in the philosophy of Achinta Bheda Bhed a wonderful and proper balance in all the above-mentioned pure conclusions on the Brahma Sutras. In the constitutional, something interesting, Sundar Gopal is doing his doctorate, his thesis, what do you say? Yeah, he's writing his thesis on in Oxford University on Bhakti being the nature of the soul. So he's been having to study the Brahma Sutras very closely. And he said that the consensus of just like mundane Western scholars is that the Brahma Sutras explain Achinta Bheda Bhed, that there's difference and non-difference. I think that's interesting that that's what the academic scholars, that's the conclusion that they came to from reading the Brahma Sutras. Yeah. In the constitutional position of the Lord's associates, there is no motive other than service to Sri Nandanandan, the Supersoul. In other words, the abominable mundane consideration of duality found in the imperfections and differentiations between subjects and objects in this material world cannot be equally established in the non-dual kingdom of Vaikuntha. The Supersoul and the soul are related with each other as well-wishers. As soon as the living entity forgets that relationship, Maya immediately arranges for him various temporary relationships, like wife and children in this material world. The deluding external energy of the Supersoul has two functions, covering and throwing. Oh, I was asking about this. So what's the covering and throwing potency? When the living entity becomes entangled in this material world, he falls under the control of the material modes of nature, and due to his misconceptions, he accepts various sense objects, beginning with the wife and children. In this way, he is separated from the service of the absolute truth for Jendra Nandan. From this misconception and forgetfulness of Krishna, the living entity develops the mentality that I am the enjoyer of all the material tastes and forms like my wife and children. This is not the constitutional duty of a living entity. It is simply a mental concoction. In other words, the living entity is awarded designations by the covering and throwing potencies of Maya, and he enjoys the respective results of those designations. But material conceptions are never able to touch a pure living entity. The eternal propensity of a living entity is to cultivate Krishna consciousness. A living entity accepts his material This is what Sundar Gopal's his whole thesis is to establish this point, because it's been under attack in our own society by our own devotees. So this is what he's been really focusing on. The eternal propensity of a living entity is to cultivate Krishna consciousness. A living entity accepts his material designations as himself due to non-devotional misconceptions. Under the influence of such misconceptions, the conditioned souls become impersonalists, or worshippers of the impersonal, homogeneous Brahman, while some are inclined to enjoy heaven or hell due to their intense urge for material enjoyment. When the pure living entity with material designations, When the pure living entity with material designations and bewildered intelligence becomes a Maya body, he is covered by the false conception of spiritual and material oneness, which produces a whirlwind of imaginative considerations of oneness between the living entities and Brahman, and oneness between the material nature and Brahman. When the soul leaves the body, he can immediately understand, I am not the body. If I were the body, then why did my relatives attempt to return the 5 elements of my body to the 5 material elements at the time of my funeral? Why did they burn my body? Since I am separate from the material body, after leaving my body, those related to it consider it detestable and wants to throw it out of the house. Although the material world, which is created by the external energy of the supersoul, is not false, it is also not eternal. That is, it is prone to change. The eternal soul and the temporary mind both possess the consciousness of being the doer, yet there is a difference between the two. What time is it? Oh, it's 8:33. Okay, we'll end here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Sacīnandan Gaur Hari ki Jai, Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai, Jai Śrīla Gurudev ki Jai, Śrīla Param Gurudev ki Jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai, Śrī Rupa Anuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai, Swaparshad Ji Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Śrī Radha Krishna Gopa Gopigan ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrindadevi ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Shri Purushottam Vrat ki Jai, Vrat Palankari Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki Jai, Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur ki Jai, the Gaudiya Bhashya commentary of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai, Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsidevai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpadurubhyashta Kripa Sindhu Bhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams, everybody. Hari Krishna, Satya Mataji, Kishore Krishna Prabhu. Let me look on YouTube and Facebook who is all there. 1 second. Okay. Haribo, Karuna Didi, Raseshwari Mataji, Vidyalalasa Didi, Indira Mataji, Ganga Mataji, Govinda Saha, Raseshwari Mataji, oh sorry, and Help Network. Help Network, what is your name? It is, and I see there's 9 other people watching, so Dandavat Pranams to all of you, and yeah, tomorrow we will read about the sannyas of Viśvarūpa taking sannyas. And I'm not sure if we'll read the full chapter though, because there's still quite a bit, but maybe we'll also read about Mahaprabhu sitting on the discarded pots and the conversation he had with Mother Śacīdevī. All right.
How are the book projects coming along? How are the book projects coming along?
Oh yes, so yeah, yesterday we moved all the books. God, it was a lot of books. It was like 400 something books onto racks, and I did that with 2 other people. It's a lot of work. And then last night, the last truck was supposed to bring the Spanish books, but the Parikrama Marg was so full of people that late at night we ended up having to cancel. I pretty much spent the whole day in the storeroom yesterday though. I like slept there even, and like was just waiting for the truck to come, and then it got canceled. I was there from after the reading all the way till like I think 8:30 p.m. and then but I was just like chanting and doing stuff. I wasn't like working that whole time. But yeah. So we will have to go maybe tonight to do the rest of the books, but it's not that many more books, so I will finish not way too late. But yeah, it's going good. I think tonight will be the last night of work. And then there are other things to do, but that was like the main urgent thing. So yeah. All right, Dandavat Pranams. See you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna.